on to tonight. A former Houston mail carrier accused of stealing millions of dollars in checks that should have been delivered to your mailboxes. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on KPRC 2 News at 10. I'm Daniela Guzman. My co-anchor Keith Garvin is off tonight. Well, that mailman delivered to an area where 125,000 Houstonians call home. And tonight, he is one of 5 people indicted. KPRC 2's Bryce Newberry joining us now live to explain how this scheme worked.
Yeah, Daniela, this is really the last person that you'd expect to be stealing your mail. And the way that all of this happened is a little bit unbelievable. Postal workers who steal and sell checks are common enough to have a street name. They're known as postal plugs. That's according to a law enforcement source who tonight tells me these checks are in high demand right now. This group is accused of using an encrypted messaging app and an underground lingo to try and pull all of this off. This post office on Houston's northeast side, now at the center of a multi-million-dollar theft ring. It started with USPS credit cards being swiped for fuel, seen here filling up non-USPS vehicles at odd hours. Then hundreds of thousands of dollars in checks that should have been delivered along the Roy Royal Post Office's mail routes spanning these 5 zip codes began disappearing.
It's like every route that he touched, people was complaining. They was getting complaints about mail was coming up missing.
That's a postal employee who used to work at Roy Royal who asked to remain anonymous, fearing retaliation.
It made me angry at that time. It is thieves working amongst the postal service. I'm pretty sure he's not the only one.
Investigators from the USPS Inspector General's office opened a criminal investigation in 2022. And when Houston police served a search warrant at this house last November because they say it had been rented using a stolen identity, they started uncovering more of a mail theft and check fraud scheme.
The person inside this residence is a mail carrier. Officers immediately began to notice a lot of mail that was not addressed to the legal residents.
Through search warrants for homes, cell phones, and Instagram, combined with timesheets and attendance records, what happened to all those checks, mostly belonging to small businesses, became clearer.
And in the case of every check that was stolen, that was found either in his vehicle or through images in his phone, they were able to pair up a route that he had worked on or about the exact day the check went missing.
Records show the checks included monthly Social Security and disability payments, as well as federal tax refunds. A Harris County grand jury just indicted 26-year-old Cameron Goodwin, a Roy Royal postal carrier of 2 years, for engaging in organized crime and theft. He's now accused of running a vast criminal network, stealing well over $1 million in checks straight from the mail between August and November of last year, then brokering them to bidders for a flat fee. Alleged bidders like Keyshawn Jones and Sylvester Brown. Brown seen here handling the checks while wearing a glove allegedly to conceal his fingerprints. After posing with stacks of cash, investigators believe he got through theft and fraud. The transactions usually got discussed over Telegram, prosecutors say, a hard-to-track encrypted messaging app.
They don't cooperate in most conventional ways.
According to a law enforcement source, the accused used code words referring to checks as slips, calling those from the U.S. Treasury stimmies, and altered slips are known to be cooked. How prevalent is this kind of thing in the postal system?
There are certainly more postal employees that are doing this. I couldn't comment on how many, but I will tell you, if you're doing it, your case is probably being worked already, and you may think you're getting away with it. You're not.
Investigators tracked some stolen money to bank accounts in Louisiana they say belonged to Keyshawn Jones's girlfriend and her mother, both now also indicted for theft.
I think some of these folks are thieves before they come to the postal service, to be honest with you.
For honest and hardworking postal employees, it's a scheme that stings.
But not everybody is bad at the postal service. You know, it's embarrassing that everybody that drives them trucks put on these uniforms. It's bad on everybody. That looks bad for everybody.
A check cashing scam that tries to use homeless people to do the dirty work of actually cashing the checks in banks. Police in effort to say this woman, 33-year-old Miracle Allen of San Antonio, Texas, was arrested yesterday and charged with forgery. Court documents obtained by News 8 show she tried to cash a counterfeit check for more than $1,800 at the Ephrata National Bank. But she told police she was approached at a bus stop and asked by someone else to cash that check. This kind of check fraud has been growing across the country in the last year, mostly through the southern states. The person cashing the check is usually promised some of the money if they are successful.
Counties and likely to be 3 dates back to December of 2022.
And deputies saying that these 2 Chicago men stole checks from business mailboxes and would alter them to try to cash the money for themselves.
Lena Bleach joining us now live after talking to affected and unaffected business and learning more about how far the accusations go. Lena.
I'm in Green Bay in front of one of several local businesses that had checks stolen out of its mailbox. 2 men are in jail tonight in Brown County facing a total of 12 felony charges each on identity theft. More charges also may be coming. All told, deputies say that the checks totaled more than $600,000 in a wide-ranging case.
As a consumer, you kind of trust the system that you're going to pay with a check and it's going to get to the place it needs to go to, and as a business you assume that your mail is going to come to you when it's supposed to.
The 11 checks stolen from the instrumental music company were from school districts from around the state, but the business is recovering the money.
The school districts were all contacted and they have started to resubmit their payments to us, so fortunately the money is still coming in.
To help avoid this happening again in the future, the business is trying to help its clients switch to electronic payments.
It's a slow process to convert over to electronic payments, but definitely something we encourage and something that we ourselves like to do when we pay our own bills.
The 2 men charged in this case, Daryl Edwards and Deonta Bratcher, are scheduled to appear in court on April 13th.
We kind of take for granted you put your mail on the mailbox, it's going to be fine because it's protected, but it's not locked or anything, so I guess what's to stop somebody from that?
This owner caught someone in the bank trying to cash a fraudulent check with his business's name on it.
Yeah, it's a story you're only going to see here on Fox 19 now. Our Alexis Martin spoke with the business owner to hear what exactly happened. Alexis.
I'm in Reading outside of Valley Central Bank, where the owner of Air Plus Heating and Cooling says a man came up right next to him in the bank and tried to cash a fraudulent $2,500 check with his business's name on it. He says he was in the right place at the right time.
Someone told me, hey, I work for Air Plus. I've been there for 5 years. Blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, apparently you don't know who I am. I'm the owner of Air Plus. And that's when he got really, really quiet.
Robert Raby Jr., owner of Air Plus Heating and Cooling, says he had mailed a check to a business in Madeira, and the check was stolen from the mailbox.
At that point, we were notified from the bank to close the account, open up a new account due to checks could possibly be counterfeited. And so we did all that with the Valley Bank here in town.
Thursday, Raby was in Valley Central Bank. He says the man next to him was very chatty while they waited in line.
And the gentleman was asking me some questions about my hand and we're small talk.
Raby says while he was talking to the teller, the bank manager started waving him over.
Branch manager got a hold of my attention and said, hey, Rob, we have a check here from Air Plus for $2,500. And this gentleman says he works for you.
Raby knew the man was lying and had just redone all of his accounts, fearing something like this could happen.
I proceeded to go over and talk to the gentleman, and he told me he was a tech for 5 years and he worked for Air Plus. And at that point I told him, hey, I'm the owner and I've never seen you before and you're not an employee of mine.
Raby said the man then tried to change the subject.
The more I questioned him, the more nervous he got, and at that point he just started running towards the door, walking faster toward the door. And then I followed him out and started taking pictures of him, and then he ran down Benson Street.
The pictures on your screen were taken by Raby when he followed the man outside. The man got away before police arrived. Raby says it was obvious this wasn't the first time the man had done this. He says the man was a smooth talker until he realized the man he was stealing money from was right next to him.
Well, obviously, $2,500 is a lot of money to a small business, so I was very fortunate, it didn't go through. But also I was very fortunate, everybody, small town knows everybody, and they notified me as soon as they tried to cash it.